What is obfuscation and how is it used in Bitcoin? We're going to jump into several different things today on obfuscation and privacy, and also we're going to find out a summary of what Satoshi Hada's research paper in ASIACRYPT 2000 about obfuscation was all about and how it's intertwined with Bitcoin. Let's jump into it, guys. All right, if you just want the basic definition like myself, obfuscation is basically to make something hard to understand. That's pretty much it. So how is obfuscation used in Bitcoin? There are a couple of different, there are two different ways it was used when it first came out in 2009. Then there were several more that got layered on top of it as it goes on. So I got a nice little chart for you right here. Let's pull that up. All right. So when it first came out, the obfuscation technique was to change the output randomization and also have fresh addresses. So that was the two main things that it did with obfuscation when Bitcoin came out. So what the hell is change output randomization and fresh addresses mean? Well, let's jump into it, guys. So basically what change output randomization does, it just makes it harder for people to track. So it adds another layer of privacy to your Bitcoin transactions. So somebody that's trying to follow you on Blockchain Explorer, it'll throw them off because it's going to mix the addresses with other addresses and it's going to be a lot harder to find out who you're sending the money to. So it adds a layer of protection. That's the simplest definition I can give you, and I'm going to show you an example right now. All right, so now I'm going to show you how it works. So you would take, so let's say I have this friend named Peter, and I'm curious on what he's spending his money on. So I get his address, either, he posts it or I used it in the past, and I want to see what my dear friend Peter is spending his money on. So what I do is I'm going to go to something like Blockchain Explorer. I'm going to put in his address. I'm going to click it. Oh, he's got zero balance. Okay, but whatever. Let's scroll down and let's look at his transactions now. So everything is public. So let's see what this mofo is spending his money on. Let's see. Wow, Peter had about 50 Bitcoins in there. 50. So basically, this could be like a Satoshi era wallet, maybe, because maybe it's one of these wallets that mined 50 Bitcoin. Who knows? Let's go back to when it came out. Yeah, 2013. It was from unknown. Ooh. Unknown. Interesting. Interesting. Anyway, so see how somebody could get wrapped into this. So let's see what he spent his money on. So he received a couple transactions throughout the course of 2013, 2013, 2013. So then let's look at the recent transactions to just make this easier. All right, so he sent money. He sent about $9,000 to somebody. Well, in 2020, yeah, he spent. So, okay, so as you click it and you want to view the details, he sent it to this address. And then, so what it does is it combines it. It basically puts it into all these other addresses and it makes a new address when it does that. So it just basically gives a layer of protection and it makes it a little bit harder to trace. So if you would click that one, you go down this rabbit hole, you try to show more inputs, and then he sent it to this address. So now this address received it, and then this address sent it to this address, and then I'm in a fucking rabbit hole and I don't know what's what anymore. So that's basically how obfuscation works in the simplest form in Bitcoin. Confuses the fuck out of you. All right, so let's talk about the other part of it, which is a little bit easier. Basically, fresh addresses. So this is pretty self-explanatory. When you want to send money, even me, when I deal with people overseas and I want to pay them, I don't just pay them out of my personal Bitcoin stash. I pay them out of I make a fresh wallet, send some money in there, and then with that, I use that to pay them. So anybody could generate a fresh wallet anytime. So that's basically the simplest form of obfuscation in Bitcoin is you could be able to create a different address no matter who you are. Anybody could do it. Just go into it and create an address. Boom, it's very simple. Anybody could create another address now. So these were the two things of the two obfuscation things used in Bitcoin in 2009 when it came out. Then, as time evolved, there were other things that came out also that the graph says. So, two other things are Bloom filters. I had no idea what it was. I don't think it's even used anymore. And mixin services, which mixin services are used, but they could be used by criminals too, or people that just want to hide where they're sending the money to. So we're gonna just jump into that right now. So we're gonna go over the easy one first, or the shorter one. Bloom filters basically mix in a random addresses with real addresses. So these services evolved over time, and you could use services like CoinJoin with it. So it's basically CoinJoin advanced. So that's pretty much what a Bloom filter is. So it just mixes random addresses with the real addresses. This way, when the wallet asks for information, it doesn't look like it's the only asking about the user's address, which is keeping things private. So it pulls up a whole bunch of different addresses. So wow, my brain is about to fucking explode right now. Holy shit. All right. Let's go into mixing services. So these are also known as tumblers. So this is like, let's say you steal somebody's Bitcoin. Let's say you rob somebody. Let's say you pull a fucking heist and you scam people out of Bitcoin and you want to send it somewhere else, but you don't want, the heat on you. So what a mixing service is, now keep in mind, you do have to trust them too. If you don't trust them, yeah, you could be screwed out of your Bitcoin. So it pretty much, you send your Bitcoin through the mixing service and you combine your Bitcoin with all other people's Bitcoin in that pool. And then it pretty much just does what it says. It mixes it up and then it gives it back and it spits it out into a different address. So nobody's going to know where it goes and it's a lot harder to track. A lot of criminals use this, like I said. And, the bad side about this is, you know, you could hide illicit activity with it, like trafficking drugs or people or whatever, or Silk Road type stuff. So yeah, you definitely, with mixing services, it came out in 2013, probably a little before the Mount Gox thing happened. So all right, so okay, so now I want to get into Satoshi Hada's research paper in 2000, my other video, where I pulled up a tweet by Matthew Green, and he basically said, that Satoshi Hada came up with a theory on obfuscation way before Barack, well, actually a year before Barack did. So I just wanted to get a quick summary on what was talked about in that paper, in that event. So I pulled up a quick summary. I read it and it confused the hell out of me. My brain is still fried from reading it. But here it is. So I pulled up a couple of different things and how whatever was said in that talk in 2000 by Satoshi Hada at the ASIACRYPT 2000 conference in, I forgot where it was, somewhere in Asia. I don't remember. So basically, he did the research on zero knowledge proofs and the limitations of code obfuscation is highly relevant to improving privacy and security in blockchain systems. So the breakthrough moment of what he discovered with obfuscation at the ASIACRYPT 2000 conference was the following. The research shows that it is impossible to securely obfuscate some cryptographic functions, which is relevant when thinking about how blockchain nodes, miners, or users might try to reverse engineer the blockchain for their benefit. So basically, it's this, like, obfuscation helps the blockchain because nobody could reverse engineer it. So this was the breakthrough moment. And what he discovered probably is like 10 times more advanced than what was even put into Bitcoin in the first place, where Bitcoin probably uses very little of it to begin with because it didn't even need it. It just needed the principle of obfuscation, which he showed how it's relevant and it's needed in the blockchain to protect it from being reverse engineered. So this is how it was used. So this is crazy. So okay, so then somebody probably took this information and it was used in, when Bitcoin was being developed by Satoshi, whoever that may be. They definitely used this information of obfuscation in trying to protect the integrity of the blockchain. So that's how obfuscation works in Bitcoin. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace. Bukele.